Gunung Padang. Ancient pyramid or just a mountain? Gunung Padang means light mountain or mountain of light. There is also a more complex translation, mountain of enlightenment. Since ancient times, this peak on the Indonesian island of Java was worshipped by the locals as a sacred mountain. At the end of 20th century on, it began a serious archaeological research, and they have brought a sensation. There's a legend on the Indonesian island of Java. Mythical King Silawangi, who ruled about 1500 years BE, allegedly in one night, built a palace on the top of the sacred mountain Gunung Padang, and from there he watched the starry sky. Europeans learned about this sacred mountain in the early 20th century. At that time, they had no idea what amazing surprises she would present. The ruler's mystery, the oldest pyramids on Earth, are considered to be the Egyptian pyramids. They're followed by pyramidal structures of Central and South America. There, in the virgin jungle, hidden by tropical vegetation, lurk stepped pyramids, which are also very old. In general, as it turned out, in ancient times, pyramids were built almost all over the planet, and where the landscape was not flat but hilly, the pyramids were replaced by mountains. It is quite possible that the pyramid archetype is actually a mountain. Ancient builders whose ancestors prayed to their gods on mountaintops built artificial mountains, pyramids. From the platforms on the tops of the truncated pyramids, the priests watched the night sky and communicated the will of the gods to their fellow citizens. Some pyramids were built of stone, others of earth. Standing on top of a pyramid meant, above all, being close to the gods. The earth pyramids became the tombs of the rulers. Reconstruction of the supposed original view of the mountain with terraces. In the 20th century, many researchers had a kind of epiphany. Pyramids began to see everywhere, and a number in the most usual mountains. So appeared, for example, the sensational Bosnian pyramids, which, as were mountains, so they will remain. Although in ancient times, among the others, people marked the tops that had a shape close to a strict geometric figure. Not without reason, the sacred mountain in Tibet was Mount Kailas. Mount Gunung Padang in Java is also a pyramidal mountain. It has been used since ancient times for meditation and astronomical observations. While it is 885 meters above sea level, it is not very tall, barely over 200 meters. Until 1914, no one was interested in this Indonesian peak. Java was a Dutch colony. The colonizers were more concerned with governance and maintaining order than local history. But at last, the fashion for archaeology reached Java. Several archaeologists recorded the legends of the natives and tried to relate them to real geographical sites. Gunung Padang was often mentioned in these legends, and they were associated with a small native king, Silawangi, to whom numerous miracles were attributed. Allegedly, he was able to turn into a tiger, move blocks of stone through the air, and once engaged in building a palace on top of a sacred mountain. Dutch archaeologists decided to check the compliance of the myth with the historical truth. And during a superficial examination, they found basalt monoliths set in a certain order on the top. The mountain slopes were also dotted with numerous monoliths. Most of them are on the eastern side. There are strange indentations on some of the stones from the mountain. Archaeological reports indicate that there are 5 terraces with monoliths on the south side of the mountain. On the east side, there are 100, measuring 2 by 2 meters. On the west, cleared side, the monoliths are hidden by shrubbery and earth. And from the base of the mountain to the top built a stone staircase width of 1.5 meters. What a picture archaeologists saw in 1914, we do not know. We only know that local residents not only went to honor the memory of their ancestors on the top of the mentioned stairs, but also grew crops on the slopes of the sacred mountain. Therefore, it is not surprising that basalt monoliths were removed from the fields and dumped in places unsuitable for cultivation. Even today, Gunung Padang resembles a cemetery desecrated by hooligans. The stones are scattered across it like fallen tombstones. Archaeologists drew up a report and sent it to the Department of Antiquities, where it lay under the cloth for many years. The report from Java in 1914 could not interest anyone, not even scientists. World War I broke out in Europe. It was followed by World War II, and the researchers got to the report only in 1949. But even then, scientists were not interested in Java. Archaeologists report on the discovery of the 1914 report waited until 1979. It was only then that an expedition was finally sent to Java. Exploratory excavations were conducted at the top of the mountain and confirmed the presence of megalithic structures, but no Pyramid Mountain in 1979 was out of the question yet. Rebirth of the mountain into a pyramid occurred already in the 21st century. Advanced technologies from simple mapping, research with magnetometers and sonar, up to deep drilling were thrown into the research of the mountain. The main enthusiast of the Pyramid Mountain idea was the Indonesian archaeologist Dan Natawijaya. He immediately stated that the mountain was too regular in shape for a natural object. In the dusty archives, Natawijaya made another discovery. King Silawangi is not a mythical, but a historical figure. The portrait of this king allegedly even hung in the Sultan's palace of Indonesia. Who can argue with such proof? Natawijaya immediately conducted a radiocarbon study of megaliths from the mountain. Isotope C14 confirmed that they originated from 1500 BC. The radiocarbon analysis was followed by drilling. Subsequent dating methods showed 3,500, 9,500, and even 22,000 years. Natawijaya left no chance for the Egyptian pyramids. The mountain, he said, had been systematically completed over many millennia. During the work, he discovered the skin of the mountain, multi-level cavities and voids, the presence of chambers and cement joints, and the seams were dated back to the immemorial antiquity. He also found metal artifacts in an era when mankind did not yet know the melting furnace. One of the artifacts Natawijaya quickly identified as part of an ancient power plant. The artifacts, Natawijaya reported, were made of copper and gold and date back to the 26th millennium BC. In search of Atlantis, Dan began to object actively searchers for extraterrestrial civilizations. They immediately said with indignation that the Indonesian had hidden from the public the facts of the presence of alien metals in the artifacts. Of course, according to their version, Gunung Padang is nothing more than a wrecked alien ship, and the artifacts, the devices from the ship. In a dispute between ufologists and a patriotically minded archaeologist, the president of Indonesia intervened. He immediately allocated a significant amount of money for research. Natawijaya was not slow to respond with a new version of the Pyramid Mountain. It is quite possible that it is a fragment of the Atlantis mentioned by Plato, and if not Atlantis, then a piece of Lemuria or the continent Mu. However, not all Indonesian scientists agree with him. Geologist Bronto is sure that Gunung Padang is of usual volcanic origin for this region, and there is no reason to see it as an artificial pyramid. Moreover, until recently, Gunung Padang was referred to volcanic mountains, and numerous megaliths scattered on the slope have nothing to do with humans at all. These are common for Indonesia fragments of basalt veins, which are broken into fingers of regular geometric shape. People, of course, use them for their needs. They were even used to build structures, for example, primitive sanctuaries in the Paleolithic era. On the methods of study of the mountain, scientists prefer not to distribute, otherwise have to enter into a meaningless argument with the near scientific public. The use of radiocarbon method to date the stone by all normal people is not considered proof, but the height of folly. After all, this analysis is applicable only to organic remains. So appeared, for example, the sensational Bosnian pyramids, which, as were mountains, so they will remain. Like it, subscribe to our channel, comment. Many more interesting top films are waiting for you. Enjoy watching.